Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Happy St. Patrick's Day. I got this from Father Donahue, and my mother gave me a green button too, so she wanted to make sure. Madam Council President, members of the council, distinguished guests, and my fellow Newarkers, it is great to be alive today. By the grace of God and thanks to you, I have the greatest job in the country serving the people of my hometown. And I would like to congratulate all the council people for their re-elections and those that were newly elected. We have been privileged to serve the greatest city in the country, and the decisions we make now will have a decisive impact on not just our city, but our state for decades to come. And I am proud to report with certainty that our old but youthful city is finding its way back. Even with all of our difficulties, Newark is strong. Newark is strong because we are strong, and we are Newark. From young mothers that work 2 jobs to make ends meet, that walk their children to school every morning, to the president of Prudential looking out his window at the new tower being constructed. The young man who spent 10 years of his life incarcerated to come home, finish his education, work full-time, and lead conflict resolution classes for teenage boys. To the children that find dreams in the makerspace at the Newark Museum. The immigrant families that open up shops throughout our city, adding to its cultural diversity. To the young man from Liberia who attends NJIT. The children that are learning hockey with Newark Hockey in the beautiful Prudential Arena. To the new owners of the New Jersey Devils, Christmas caroling under the lights of the trees in the plaza. We are Newark, all of us, from Chancellor Avenue to Verona Avenue, from Monroe Street to Smith Street, from Muhammad Ali Avenue to Broad Street, whether we eat at Bobby's on Lyons Avenue or Tupai's on Broadway, whether we like hot sandwiches from Hobby's or grilled octopus from Adega, we are Newark, all of us. We have a perseverance about us, a determination that focuses us. No matter how hard they try to define us in the media, how desperate and lost they try to make us look, we are the heartbeat of this state, its economic engine. We are its transportation hub, its cultural enclave. Billions of dollars of wealth is created here. The best food in the state and some of the best people as well. The residents during Hurricane Sandy, whose lights were out in the South Ward as they made their way to feeding stations that we created to go around and help feed other families while their own lights was out. Or workers at the Beth who left their homes in a blackout during that time to help the sick or the seniors that watched over each other in those senior buildings, that checked each floor with no elevator working, knocking on doors, that manned the back door at the senior facilities. It is with this knowledge and have meeting those people that I have faith that our city will always be okay. Our job is to harness our greatness, our wealth, our position, our goodwill, and leverage it for our growth, our benefit, now and for decades to come. Tonight, I will lay out how we can and have started to do just that. Newark 3.0. On July 1st, I got dressed for Inauguration Day. I heard commotion in front of my house and a helicopter overhead. I looked out the window and saw the street filled with the police cruisers. I walked out my door and had just begun to set in that I was now the 40th mayor of the city of my birth. My neighbors lined the streets with their cameras and waved as I walked down my stairs. I got in the car and put on my headphones to listen to Nina Simone, and tears came down my face as I thought about the hard and long fight it took to get to this point. The time in the hospital with my family, that my father wouldn't be there to join me in this incredible moment in history, and the task at hand. There are 4 things that I never forget about that day that keeps my eyes on the prize. The police officers that I saluted that held their post in front of City Hall. The fire officers lined up the stairs at NJ Pack. My mother and my daughters on the stage with me. And the best part of all, the people who came out that day in the sweltering heat standing up and holding their hands in the air and taking the oath of allegiance with me. They reminded me for whom we take these seats, and more importantly, to hold true to our slogan that when I become mayor, we become mayor. We made a solemn oath to those of us that are here today and those that will come after for generations that not only will we leave our city better than we found it, but we will set it on a course of prosperity beset with the promise of hope and guided by an unyielding vision that at its very core is opportunity, not just for a few of us, but for all of us. Newark, this is in our reach. Above the naysayers and circling political rhetoric, despite the inclination to be cynical, this is in our reach. It is in our reach now more than ever before. Newark 3.0 is a city that attracts new technology and advanced manufacturing, that offers high-paying jobs, a workforce infrastructure that prepares and trains our residents for these jobs, and a promise of higher education with a school system that works for all families, and higher education community committed to a pipeline of Newark students, where every year we work to increase the number of Newark students in Newark universities, where we create stable neighborhoods in every part of our city, from Mulberry Street to Chadwick Avenue, where there's a real neighborhood downtown and tens of thousands of college students walk through and live in the downtown neighborhood. A city where you can travel any place in the world or take in world-class theater, a musical, a great hockey game, a famed international exhibit, and the best food you ever had from over a dozen different nationalities. A manufacturing and tech hub that attracts new businesses and incubates new ideas where things are made. This is Newark 3.0, where we all are learning to believe again. I can smell it when I wake up each morning. I can see it in the eyes of our youngest children and the passion of the work so many of you do every day. This vision is for real. And with your help, it will be our vision, our Newark. I know some of you came here to hear me talk about crime and public safety. And I will, but everything that we are doing will affect crime and public safety. When you look at it as public health, then you go after the root of it, so all of what we do saves lives and builds community. Some have come to hear me talk about the school system, and I will. But everything we are doing is focused on strong families, strong communities, strong children, and strong schools. Many ask me, will you be the crime mayor? Because we have to get crime in order, and I agree. They say, no, he's going to be the education mayor. He's been in education for 20 years. Others argue I should be the business mayor because the city needs revitalization, and I also agree. But I'm not the crime mayor. I'm not the education mayor or the business mayor. I'm the people's mayor. And we are building a movement in this city, a movement so big and so wide and so vast and so strong, nothing can stand in its way. We're going to tear down those silos and build systems that respond to our needs as a community. And along the way, on that journey, we will create safer communities, solid educational opportunities, and a thriving city. When I walked into office 8 months ago, there was a budget hole of over $90 million. The murder rate was over 100 deaths. The state was breathing down our necks, and the people were praying that their taxes wouldn't increase any more than they already have. Workers were tense and afraid of losing their jobs, and the police department was losing officers annually with no replacements in sight. We were left with a $30 million structural deficit and millions of dollars of unpaid health care bills with a growing cost of health care to top it off. We were left with only 2.5 months of the budget year to get this budget balanced and begin to prepare for a new one. With the help of the local finance board, Chris Cooper, I know he's here somewhere, loaned to us by Prudential, and the hard work of our folks in City Hall, we were able to get through that budget year, close the $90 million hole without raising taxes, beyond any form of increase, and without laying anyone off. But unfortunately, we are not out of the woods yet. The financial baggage we inherited still lingers with us, and this means we have to make some hard decisions right now, and we have already begun. But we know that in order to get us on our right footing, we need a balanced approach to this problem where everyone takes responsibility and helps shoulder the burden. We are focusing on building a robust finance department with the help from the state that have provided CPAs and RMAs at their expense, Our folks under the direction of Acting Finance Director Danielle Smith have already completed and filed with the state this year's annual financial statement, which will allow us to present the council a budget this month, giving them enough time to review it and modify it for once. We have already made cuts to our spending, limited the use of cars and gas with non-uniformed personnel, and will begin to move into uniformed personnel shortly. We instituted Chapter 78. That's all over the news. That was not done for the last 3 years, and now all of us pay more for our health care costs. We are also working as much as we can to move to a self-insured health plan that could save the city millions of dollars in health care costs, which now makes up about 16% of our budget. We raised our water rates to help pay for growing infrastructure costs, and the council joined in and reduced its budget as well. We are also instituting a freeze on most, if not all, non-uniformed hiring. This means we'll be working with the bare minimum. But even with that, the workers in this city, despite the commentary to the contrary, are some of the hardest workers in the state. And in the last 9 months, get this, in the last 9 months, the number of inspections by code enforcement increased by 25%. Overall crime is down. We just recently opened Engine 16, a firehouse at 469 Ferry Street that already responded to a major explosion on Doremus Avenue of a large industrial site that helped rescue and save lives that day. Our medical care services and our FQHCs are up by 45%. Lead inspections jumped from 106 to 1,239 in 7 months. Senior screenings up almost 100%. Senior transportation up 30%. And we have collected more in parking and payroll taxes, way beyond what was anticipated. We have gone after delinquent tax abatements, $471,000 from one businessman alone, and have arrested illegal dumpers and gone after corporate polluters like the DuPont Company. We targeted absentee landlords and have opened the city's first overnight warming stations for the homeless in the grueling cold weather with a doctor on hand to provide checkups and referrals for over 1,400 homeless people. Thank you. Under the leadership of Dr. Hamdi, we are rapidly growing. We're operating 3 different federally qualified healthcare centers and are opening a dental clinic soon. And in this year, we will move to open a primary care clinic at Bradley Court, a wellness center on Clinton Avenue, and a women's clinic in Georgia King Village. And under the direction of former Councilwoman Bessie, yeah, you can clap for that. You clap for that. Under the direction of former Councilwoman Lady Bessie Walker, we had the first ever citywide Senior Citizen Health and Wellness Day that serviced almost 700 seniors, year-round free movies for seniors, legislative breakfast for seniors. And we have over 500 committed clergy in our Office of Clergy Affairs, thanks to Ms. Roundtree, that are involved in everything we do, from grocery giveaways and critical response units to spiritual upliftment. We are working in Newark. And though we have been given little, we working to build and stay on that wall. Even though they take away our mortar, our cement, dull our tools, and criticize us every opportunity they get, we are Newark, and we will persevere. We also know that in order for us to move to Newark 3.0, we can't just cut our way out of our problems and continue to raise people's taxes. We can't work our people so hard that their morale diminishes with the ability to take care of their families and still service a growing and complex city. We need to grow our revenues in our economy. And as the state struggles with their budget and cuts aid to our cities, like money for education, over $30 million for charity care, we will be hit the hardest. And while they refuse to tax the wealthiest New Jerseyans, the middle-class families have to bear the burden, and the poor are suffocated in a blanket of despair and neglect. And as their political policies leave many Newarkers on the island of distress, we have to be creative in how we provide basic services. I want to say today, Governor, we don't have a sword up. We have no sword up in Newark. We are too busy fighting 40% of our children in poverty, high unemployment, dying children, poor access to health, crumbling infrastructure, and a superintendent of schools that you yourself know is not working. We don't want to fight. We don't want to fight. We need your help. We don't want to fight. We need your help. We need your help. I'm standing here representing 300,000 people in the city of Newark who are asking you, Governor, for some help. We need help here in the city of Newark, and we ask nothing that is not right. We need the authority to put a fee on every container that rests in our port. We need the ability to create a municipal tax option voted on by local municipal voters every 4 years that will give us the opportunity to tax specific items for infrastructure improvements and public safety. We need our police and fire officials to live in our town at least 5 years, as they are the lion's share of our municipal budget. We should be allowed to get $1 on everything that's sold at that airport, from candy to liquor to international flights. And if that happened, we would never have our hand out again. We would never ask you for anything else again. We won't come down for municipal aid. We won't send people down. You won't hear me talk about you in the press. I might even tolerate the superintendent a few more weeks. We just need the right to take care of ourselves. We need the right to govern ourselves. We want to stand up on our own 2 feet. We want to feed our own families. We want to pay for our own police department. We want to pay for our own fire department. Just give us the right and the ability to do so. And I want to take this opportunity to say that our Essex delegation is fighting for us at the state level, and have already dropped the bill for police and fire into committee. They are working on a bill for our container fee at the ports and have been discussing the municipal tax options. But that is not enough. We are continuing to push Port Authority to be better partners and a better tenant. They occupy almost 12 miles of our city. They're the 3rd largest seaport in the country, the largest in the region. They do billions of dollars of trade annually and see tens and millions of passengers a year. They have not kept up to their environmental end of the bargain and have managed our seaport horrendously. They're expanding every day with plans to build out a new terminal and add a train that would take passengers in one sitting from Manhattan to the Newark airport. We support this project, but we only support it with a stop in Newark and development on Freeland Heights and Avenue. We need more from them. We provide them with water, emergency services that include police and fire. Either we get some serious relationship counseling or we have to seek a divorce. We need the airport and the seaport not to just be in Newark, we need them to be a part of Newark. Because of that, I am drafting an executive order to create an Office of Port Oversight and Lease Compliance that would involve our business and corporate partners. We need transparency now and oversight now. We need an increase in our revenues from the port. We need development on the site. We need them to do real environmental mitigation and cleanup. If they cannot work with us in a way that is both fair and transparent, I am prepared to put an RFP on the street asking for interested parties to buy our seaport and use the revenues to put in a trust where we spend the interest and negotiate a pilot fee. As the Panama Canal and the Bayonne Bridge readies itself for larger Panamax ships, so is Newark Seaport, which means more growth, more jobs, more revenue. And as the airport receives more passengers and expands, we say you cannot be in our home and cook on our stove, even if you did bring the food, and eat while we sit in the living room and starve. We want to eat too. We know that one of the fundamental ways of growing our city is adding more residents. Adding more residents. And as my good friend, Mayor Fuller from Jersey City touts the developments happening there and the growth of their city daily, we applaud them and we are so happy for our sister city, but we are not sitting on our hands here in Newark. And before I go into the $1 billion in construction happening or in the coffers this year alone, both housing and commercial spaces, or the over 9,000 construction and permanent jobs, I would like to take this time to talk a little bit about how do we grow Newark as a college town. We have over 50,000 college students in our city, and we are planning, with the help of our incredible university partners, to move those students onto Broad Street, Marbury Street, and help build our downtown into a real neighborhood. We are excited about our work with Dr. Gibson that signed up about 80 students on the spot for Essex County College while we had our citywide Men's Day. And they plan to do the same thing this coming April for young girls in our city. We are partnering and training around pharmacology and avionics for aging workforce at the airport. Essex County College is a true partner in Newark. We are excited about NJIT and Dr. Bloom and all of the great work they're doing with expansion and incubating new businesses in our region. I personally want to thank them for the 10 scholarships they give to Central High School a year, where one of my students is now working at Honeywell while attending that program. And Rutgers, under the amazing, amazing leadership of Dr. Cantor, has pushed the NCLC initiative, vigorously working to get 25% of our population into college by the year 2025. She is investing in artistic space in the Haynes Building, moving forward and building a dormitory for honor students from Newark, New Jersey. Our university partners are an invaluable asset, and their help will be the linchpin that brings our downtown community together. We are happy about their eagerness and passion to move the needle forward, but we are going to ask them for more as well. In almost every major city in this country that hosts universities, they pay a fee in lieu of taxes or services of in-kind fees. We are in desperate need of that here in the state's largest city. We have about 5 universities with huge campuses that are not taxable. More than half of our city is either tax-exempt or tax-free. One of the most recent studies showed Newark has over $13 billion worth of properties that are not taxable. And the state has not listened to our cries in that regard, so we need to discuss how we can convince the universities to either pay an in lieu of fee or, even better, provide a percentage of full scholarship slots for incoming freshmen. Allotted for Newark students only. Not only does it help us move even more aggressively towards our 25% goal and help us, as you already are, create a pipeline of students from elementary school directly to your universities, but research points out that every 1% that you increase in bachelor's degrees, there is a 763% increase in the regional per capita income. We have to identify those students, develop those programs, train them for success, then open your doors and let them in. Newark 3.0 means that we expand our college community with city residents. We create opportunities for them to work, play, and live in Newark. We allow them to walk throughout the downtown community filled with arts, open space, outdoor festivals, concerts, and first-class destinations. And I am proud to report we are on our way there. It begins with the Prudential Tower, a 20-story building with about 740,000 square feet of office space and 47,000 square feet of retail, with no tax abatement. And currently, 350,000 hours have been staffed by Newark residents and about $50 million in goods and services purchased from Newark vendors alone. $2 million dedicated to programming activities in Military Park. And with the help of the administration, John Schreiber and NJ Pack will be closing this month on 1 Theater Square that will add 244 housing units and retail downtown. And in May, our brothers from Baraka will begin its 25-story residential tower with 152 residential units for sale and over 8,000 square feet of retail. Of course, there is the Haynes Building with 84,000 square feet of retail, including a 29,000 square foot Whole Foods in the heart of the city. NJIT is joining with 2 projects. One is a 4-acre site on Orange and Martin Luther King that consists of parking, but also hundreds of thousands of square feet of retail. Further down the street, they're developing a conference center. And we can't leave Rutgers out with the renovation of 15 Washington Street that will add 350 units of graduate housing. But that's not it. A a few days after the State of the City, we'll be finally cutting the ribbon for the Indigo Hotel. With Newark employees. And soon after the Trip Wyndham Hotel on East Park Street, and another 110-room Homewood Suites by Hilton at 1160 Raymond Boulevard, and a Home 2 Suites at the Newark Airport too. We are not done. In Lincoln Park alone, there are 200 units of residential coming online, and 42 of those are condo units for sale. One project is being developed off of Clinton Avenue by Lincoln Park by 2 African-American developers, one born and raised in Newark, New Jersey. And finally, after 10 years of no real movement and millions of dollars later, we have begun movement on Triangle Park by the Prudential Arena. We have begun the land swaps and have all parties at the table. We are moving forward on a site that will consist of a park plus thousands of square feet of retail, commercial development, along with a walking bridge that connects the center of our city to the train station and the East Ward with a refurbishing of Peter Francisco Park. This project alone will transform the entire downtown community and bring much needed revenue to our city. But we are not just transforming downtown. All of our neighborhoods are getting much needed attention. With the help of Councilman Ramos, the Cherry Park development on Verona Avenue of over 90 market rate units, the refurbishing of the historic Wright Clark House that was in despair for years, and also is now redone. 360 New York Avenue, a 30,000 square foot 37 multifamily unit with space for a daycare facility. The housing units on Chadwick Avenue being brought back online brings new life to that community. And a full-scale development over 60 residential units on Bergen Street by local African-American developers. In fact, we are grateful to the council for voting to get the ball rolling even further by adopting resolutions that declares parts of the South and West Ward areas in need of redevelopment. We have begun our studies, and tomorrow we will start having community meetings to discuss how those neighborhoods should look and what we want to see in them. I am extremely excited also that after all these years, we are foreclosing on the old Pabst Blue Ribbon site. And by this time next year, we can announce what we are going to do on that site. These are exciting times in Newark, y'all. Don't let anybody tell you that our city is getting weaker. We are getting stronger. Don't let them paint us with a brush of despondency. We are Newark, and every day we get closer to our destiny. As long as we keep pushing together, we will keep moving forward. People aren't running from Newark, they are running to it. Don't get fooled by political rhetoric, nor feed the growing appetite of the cynics. Aero Farms is building a 69,000 square foot hydroponic facility on Rome Street that will produce 2 million pounds of leafy vegetables a year. BioTrial, a French-based company, is moving its North American headquarters to Newark with a $30 million research facility, 50,000 square feet, with over 100 construction jobs and 60 permanent jobs. Synergy Development on 545 Springfield Avenue. You know that place during the campaign where the old supermarket was closed down. We are working with Save-A-Lot to open a new supermarket there with incentives from the Newark Community Economic Development Corporation to make sure it stays open this time. Not to mention the anticipated completion of Teachers Village, the opening of Rock Plaza Lofts, Mikado Tomato Pie, the best pizza in the state, Sonic with 100% Newark employees, soon the opening of Springfield Avenue Marketplace, where we have partnered with NCC and ShopRite to train Newarkers for 100% of the permanent jobs on that site. And on Valentine's Day, yeah, you can clap for that too. And on Valentine's Day, thanks to the ingenuity of economic housing development, we sold 100 hard-to-sell lots to families that came from as far as the Bronx, New York, and Paulsboro, New Jersey. We sold them to working families from Newark. Over 1,000 people waited in line that circled around the corner to buy a lot in Newark's neighborhoods. And to top it off, thanks to BCB Bank President Thomas Coughlin, the first 10 families did not have to pay the down payment. These were not speculators, not huge developers. They were everyday working families, new families, pregnant mothers, people that wanted to build community and add to the fabric of our city. We welcomed them, we empower couples to realize their dreams, and we help distressed neighborhoods and increase our tax base as well. Here with us, we have Crystal Goldstein and her husband, Yael Humphrey Skoma, as well as Andy Santana and Gracie Comisco, mother and daughter that purchased lots during our Valentine's lot sale. They can stand. We created a Live Newark program for local professionals to buy property in Newark, and we gave them $5,000 of forgivable loan if they lived in it for 5 years, and $25,000 forgivable loan for any repairs if they lived in the property for 10 years. And tonight with us is Rosa Martinez and Vanessa Foster that took advantage of our Live Newark program. If they're here, please stand. We are building with the former councilman on Clinton Avenue at the old 505 building that's been abandoned for most of my life, artist housing called the Nina Simone House. This is a beginning of transforming that entire corridor all the way down to Lincoln Park, an arts community of living and working artists that will link with a growing downtown arts community that reaches from NJ Pat up to the other side of Lincoln Park. While all of these real estate projects are great and will add to our tax base and attraction, in order to really transform our community, we need economic growth and job creation. We need a trained workforce to fill those jobs. We believe that manufacturing and advanced manufacturing is a large component of that growth. We are going to organize our resources to begin investing and expanding our manufacturing base and training our workforce to accept those jobs. In the first week of May, we are hosting a manufacturing conference, partnering with Mitch Kahn of Unionware, NJIT, and the EDA to help identify best practices, develop a point person from City Hall, and to help grow the manufacturing industry in our city. We're also asking that every major anchor corporation, business, and public entity begin to identify their partners that they do business with and begin with the help of economic incentives from this city to encourage manufacturers to relocate their shops to Newark, as we have the strongest infrastructure than any other municipality in this region for manufacturing and advanced manufacturing. We want them to come here, develop here, grow here, and we would train our residents for these jobs. The second part is economic growth is sustaining and expansion of local small businesses. Small business is the backbone of our city. They keep our economy running and provide solid goods and services and employ Newark residents without being told to do so. We know in this administration that small business growth equals the city's growth. We were proud to partner with Prudential and put on Newark's first small business conference and had great words of commitment shared by its CEO, John Strangfeld. And that conference, we outlined what we can do now to help small businesses in our city. We don't have to wait until tomorrow. We don't have to wait until somebody gives us something. We can do it today. And in Newark, we're going to live by example. We have sent out 16,000 correspondences to small and local businesses to get them to begin to do business with the city. We need our procurement process to be stubbornly focused on city businesses. We have to put our monies where we live. That is why we have begun the process to begin to target local businesses to help them grow and eventually hire more residents. And we are asking every major business, both private and public, to do the same. You can use our list or create your own. For example, we have corporations in this city that spend billions of dollars across the state, then tens of millions in our county and region, but only a meager amount of that is actually spent with Newark-based vendors and minority and women-owned businesses. We can begin changing the city overnight simply by spending money in our own backyard. We cannot complain about crime, roads, workforce investment, and services if we are not willing to help support the human capital in our city. We have to choose Newark and Newark's families. We must have a commitment that lives past rhetoric and photo ops. We must understand that our futures are interwoven and our hopes tied together by the threads of our belief in one another. And when we invest in Newark's families, its businesses, its community, we are investing in ourselves. We have also had a relentless focus on job growth and training in the last 8 months. When people come to see me, they don't say, "Mayor, I want some money." They say, "Mayor, I need a job." Our creation of the Deputy Mayor for Full Employment put all of our pieces together, stopped us from working in silos, from affirmative action and workforce investment to tax abatement and economic development agreements. We need jobs. In the last 8 months, we partnered with Wakefern, ShopRite, OTG, Federal Express, Hotel Indigo, New Community Economic, ECC, to name a few, and have assisted almost 2,000 residents in obtaining private sector jobs. We provided hundreds more with training in CDL, SORA, allied health, automotive higher education certifications, hotel hospitality, environmental, and information technology certificates. We created youth performing arts workshops for youth 17 to 21. We joined together with the county's WIB and created a regional powerhouse to lead the region on job development and training. We partnered with Newark Housing Authority and One Stop to create a Jobs Pilot Plus program with a $24 million competitive grant to begin training public housing residents in growing markets and support learning opportunities and on-the-job training for residents. We also partnered with 1199 J on the American Apprenticeship Grant, which will work to train 600 out-of-school youth aged 18 to 24 in the healthcare field. Also, in the past few months, we have managed 620 ex-offender clients. 23 of those clients were put into training classes for CDL, construction trades, and HVAC. Over 400 went through Bridges program to obtain identification, and 120 clients were sent to Dress for Success and obtain clothes for interviews. We are working with Senator Rice now to drop a bill that will allow surcharges to be removed from the licenses of ex-offenders through community service that will remove another obstacle from them getting a job. In fact, in the last 8 months, the unemployment rate in our city has dropped almost 2 points. I'm gonna say that again. In the last 8 months, the unemployment rate in our city has dropped almost 2 points. We are headed in the right direction. But sadly, we know that because not just our future, but our present is tangled up with the predicament of our young people. New York City employs 30,000 youth in its summer program. Many cities around the country are following suit. Studies of summer employment for youth have found that it decreases the rate of incarceration and, more importantly, the rate of deaths. In fact, studies have revealed that in New York City, 86 lives were saved from the years 2004 through 2008, which are about 20 lives per year. It has been furthered that summer employment gives young people an opportunity for a structured learning environment, work readiness skills, and adds much needed revenue to the family's income. Before I became mayor, we hired only 1,000 young people per summer at arbitrary sites where people would accept them. We have made a commitment to change that immediately. The city alone has committed to hiring on our own at least 300 more young people this summer, and has gone to the private sector to ask them to hire another 1,000 youth this summer. This means this summer we will have doubled the amount of children we employ. And we are not talking about any youth job. We are talking about the mayor's leadership training and job development program, where we have already partnered with NJIT to take at least 25 youth for a coding academy this summer, and another 175 for an urban design program where they will work 4 days a week in the field, and a 5th day join professors on the campus of NJIT on urban design, planning, and envisioning. We're partnering with NCLC, the program for 800 other young people, to provide leadership development on Fridays while they work the other 4 days a week. We are leaning on our partners in the financial community and the private sector to help us fund those 1,000 extra jobs. I know you do financial literacy classes, and we are grateful. But our kids need structure and employment. There is no greater financial literacy than a bank account. I know you give money to our nonprofits. We are desperately in need of that, and are indebted to our nonprofits for the rafts they create that we would have drowned a long time ago. But we need investment in our community, training for our residents, housing, and more importantly, jobs for our families. We don't want handouts. We want you to support our young people with leadership development and a job. Watch them run their own city, develop answers to their own problems, and take our city into the next century. This summer, with your help, we will have at least 2,500 young people working in a new and improved summer employment program. And we know that the cornerstone of moving our children forward, our families forward, our city forward is a sound educational system. A great city just doesn't have great schools, they have great communities that organize their resources to produce great schools. Great schools don't produce great communities. Great communities produce great schools. And great students challenge their schools to get better, to be better. So despite the contention that is going on in our city, in a neo-colonial state that Trenton has forced us in, we are still pushing forward. We owe it to generations of children to get it right. But more importantly, we owe it to our students today to get it right now. 40% of our children grow up in serious poverty. There's a huge number of our students that are growing up homeless. The highest rate of unemployment is between the ages of 16 and 24. Out of more than 10,000 cases of child abuse reported at the county level, a huge portion of them are from Newark. There are almost 4,000 young people that are not in any structured learning environment at all. Now, while we fight over space, tenure reform, and wrestle each other over the money that comes into our district, our students are struggling, and some performing at incredible levels against these odds. We have to prepare for those students and develop spaces where more of those students can realize themselves and grow. And so tonight, I am proud to have with us here the debate team from Science Park High School. They won first place, they won second place, and they won third place. That's not it. At the National Debate Tournament at the University of California, Berkeley this year, this you won't read about in the Legend. You won't see this running all day on News 12. But this is Newark. This is Newark. Amit Kukricha qualifies as one of the top 32 debaters out of 300 contestants around the country. Adegoke Fakoridi won third place, and Sunyi Simon won first place. Beautiful. Listen, they join us tonight with their debate coach, Jonathan Austin, who is also a product of Newark Public Schools. Our schools can work, they will work, they have worked, but that's not all. Sunyi Simon, just last week, represented the United States and the city of Newark at the Jutemir International World Schools Invitational 2015, where she met with the president of Slovenia because her victory in the final debate round made her the world's champion. Yes, these are our children from Newark, New Jersey. They represent the best of us, the brightest of us, and the city we build in is for them. We know that the most important time for our city is out of school time. That is after the regular school day, the weekends, and the summertime. There's also early childhood learning and primary grade education. That is why we are working on early childhood initiatives, literacy across the city, and the development of community schools modeled with our new Office of Comprehensive Education led by Dr. Wells. And I just recently signed an executive order that allows for all city employees to take 2 hours a week to tutor any child in an educational institution from pre-K to the 3rd grade during the workday. This past summer, and throughout the fall, we partnered during the after-school time, and we engaged more than 20,000 residents. We have also opened what we are calling Centers of Hope. We are opening 9 centers across the city from 3 p.m. to 9 p.m. with partners that include New Jersey Devils, the Grassroots Foundation, United Way of Essex West Hudson, Big Brothers Big Sister, Greater Newark Conservancy, St. Barnabas Health, Newark Gals, Yindor Productions, New Jersey Performing Arts Center, and Newark YMCA, and many, many, many more. We are providing healthy meals, leadership development, job readiness, arts and cultural programs, athletics, and academic tutoring, but that's not it. We are partnering with Audible.com to provide computers at these centers, and soon we'll be working to offer free Wi-Fi in every center that we have. So our children can be introduced to coding, information technology, and everything that has to do with internet and the computer. On March 3rd, we opened one of these centers on Clinton Place. Yesterday at Hayes West in the Central Ward, we opened the second Center of Hope that will be focused primarily on the development of young girls and women. But that's not it. We are opening in April at the Vince Lombardi Center in the North Ward, and later the School Stadium Clubhouse with the help of the YMCA, Westside Park partnered with Essex County and UCC, one in Georgia King Village in July, in the East Ward, the King Gibson Sharp James Aquatic Center, and another one on Irvin Turner Boulevard at the Clubhouse. We are working in Newark. We know that we have to engage our young people, but more importantly, prepare them. We were focusing them on careers and school and not jail and the cemetery. No matter how difficult it is, we are going to invest in our children, despite the inquiries being sent to the state asking if we have a waiver or permission to fix and open up our own neighborhood centers. And when they ask me, I will say yes, we are being creative about our funding. But we were given a waiver to open up our community centers by the young 13-year-old that committed suicide, by the young boy around the same age that shot his sister in the chest playing with a gun as a toy. Our waiver was signed by the young boy that brought a gun to school, by the number of children that fills the beds of our youth detention facility, and every mother that searches without end in sight for some relief for their children before they meet the judge or find their future dribbling from their mouths in a puddle of blood on a cold and dirty sidewalk. We have an obligation to our children and the mothers that raise them to find a safe place for them to build the wall around them and to stand with them. And that waiver was signed with the ink of determination and a love that's much stronger than petty politics, hidden deep in purposeful neglect. We stand up today as Newark and say our children will grow, they will be successful, and whatever we have to do, we will do. Along with that, we have heard the call of our president, and with the help of Prudential Foundation and other corporate partners, we are organizing My Brothers Keeper Newark, headed by David Jefferson Jr. The incredible young men that you see in here today are part of that initiative. Stand up, gentlemen. Come out here so they can see you, brother. Come on out here so they can see you. These are our sons, our brothers, our future fathers. They not Bloods, they not Crips, they not gang members. These are our boys. This is our city, our young men here in the city of Newark. Look at these men. We want to thank PSE&G for donating the ties, Joseph Gengoli and Sons for dressing these guys up tonight. Give them another round of applause. They look incredible. Come on. Get my man Herman up here. Come on, Herman. Get up here, Herman. Get up here, Herman. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Herman, I'm going to tell you a story before they sit down. Herman came to see me in my office the other day. He was very assertive. Took a picture in my office. He said that he needed money to finish filling out his DACA form. And I'll talk about that a little later. Some of us should know what DACA is. Finishing to fill out his form so he can go to college. He's about to graduate from high school and wants to go to college. And he's here in the city of Newark, and he's a part of our My Brother's Keeper program and initiative. And what we're going to do, if we don't do anything else, is to make sure that our young men in this city have an opportunity to go to college, no matter who they are. That's what we're going to do. I don't care. I don't care what neighborhood they're from, what language they speak, what food they eat, if they're a citizen or even if they're not a citizen at all. We're going to make sure that if you are a resident in Newark, you are a young man of color in this city, we are going to help you get into college by any means necessary. All right, gentlemen. Thank you. Yes, sir. We have also gone deep in the community with our model neighborhoods. We have a model neighborhood initiative that has captured the essence of place-based strategies and is not just focusing on individuals, but on community. We're using every resource we have and are focusing those resources in 2 basic neighborhoods for the next 6 months to a year. We have taken every department under our control and targeted its resources and personnel. We are focusing our energy and rebuilding our neighborhoods. We have committed to a minimum of repairing 50 houses in the South Ward, 100 in the West Ward. We are putting $15 million of investment in the South, about $40 million in the West, and $10 million in both for commercial redevelopment. In the South Ward grid of about 20 or more blocks, we have already decreased overall crime by 30%. We have established four new block associations: Leo Place, Vernon Place, Peshon Avenue, and White Terrace. We have issued citations on store owners and absentee slumlords. We've scheduled demolition on at least a half a dozen properties, and the Housing Authority opened up on Chadwick Avenue 34 new units of affordable housing. We knocked on doors and referred to the Newark One Stop. We referred 300 adults to 990 Broad Street. Out of that 300, 179 were enrolled in programming, and 100 are currently working. We engaged about 122 young people. 44 were enrolled in programming, and 22 are currently working. That's not all. We have mural projects, panel discussions with ECC at University High and Shabazz, bus shelters on Clinton Avenue coming, street and sidewalk pavings. In our West Ward grid of about 40 blocks, it has been a little bit more difficult and a little bit more tough, which means we have a lot more work to do over there. We have had 5 community meetings to begin to develop community organizations. We have scheduled structures to be demolished, at least half a dozen, hundreds of smoke detectors distributed to homeowners and apartments. There were at least 5 community meetings there, held over and over and over again, and the 24-hour stores targeted and closed down. We are excited about what we have done together. We are reaching out to the community partners, funding institutions, the private sector, the university community, and we are taking place-based strategies to its logical end. No longer will we be divided by title and organization. Every resource and opportunity we have should be and will be used to transform our city, our neighborhood, block by block. One of our proudest accomplishments is what we have been able to do with our police department. Director Venable and Chief Campos have done an incredible job. We walked in the door facing over 100 murders, a consent decree by the DOJ, and the city had not hired any new officers in the last 4 years. We immediately brought on 34 new police officers in 2014, and this year, we are hoping to hire 150 new officers to put on the streets immediately. We began moving officers on the street until it reached up to 70% of our force on the streets. We increased visibility and begun neighborhood walks and roll calls. We created new specialized units and put them on the streets to attack guns, drugs, and gangs. We opened up, with the help of the state, a real-time crime center that would allow us to get better information to our officers. We put detectives back in the precincts and community officers to engage the public. We opened up the first precinct, something that hasn't been done in decades, another full-service precinct in the Central Ward, and allowed the West Ward to have their own. We held a statewide conference to discuss best practices and new strategies around policing, and we have not finished yet. We will work to continue to civilianize the department and put more officers on the streets. And as much as I don't like to talk about murders, because a death is a death, and one death is one death too many. We reduced violent crime by more than 20%. In fact, In fact, the state was able to experience a decline in its numbers because of fewer homicides in Camden that you heard at the State of the State, but also because of fewer homicides in Newark. As a matter of fact, before July 1st, the numbers were beginning to spike to an 8% increase. And after we came in, even with the horrible holiday homicides we had, that we still were moving down in crime. We are nowhere near happy about where we are, but we are encouraged about where we are headed. Every death in this city stains the fabric of our community forever and is used as commentary to keep us wallowing in a state of defeat. But we are not defeated. And the DOJ report notwithstanding, we have some of the finest officers in the country. Like Lieutenant Brian O'Hara and police officer Vernon Bradley that went beyond the call of duty to save a man that was lying on the ground having a heart attack, using their training to revive him until the EMS arrived. We have officers every day that volunteer in our schools, that coach basketball and football. We have officers that really live here, that understand the dynamics of our city and our families, that perform righteously every day to make a difference and ensure that this city is a city that we can all believe in. And it is because of these officers that we must make sure that the story of the MPD is told, that we not only abide by the recommendations of the DOJ, but we embrace them. And so we immediately moved on their recommendations. We moved the Office of Internal Affairs to City Hall, put the deputy director in charge of it. We began community walks and partnered with Jersey City and Patterson for a shared service agreement to purchase cameras, and we will have those soon, hopefully. We partnered with Rutgers University and the County of Essex to make sure all of our officers receive additional training. And we will make sure this training continues on sensitivity, LGBTQ issues, and many, many more. And I will sign shortly an executive order creating a civilian complaint review board with investigatory and subpoena power. I know this is controversial. We are working with community organizations and held public hearings to get it as close to perfect as we can. And while we're getting a lot of pushback, well, some pushback, I think it's a great opportunity, not only for civilians, but for police officers as well. With the newest shooting in Madison, Wisconsin, it makes what we are doing that much more critical. We are not asking for nothing unreasonable at all. We don't want police officers choked to death on the street. We don't want them shot in the back while running. We're not advocating that they get shot while pulling out their wallets or playing in front of rec centers. We don't want people to bust in their homes and shoot their children as they sleep innocently on a couch or suffocate them in the back of a precinct. We want them to have a real investigation, an opportunity to defend themselves. We want them to face a jury of their peers if necessary, and all the due process that living in a democracy affords them. We want them to have the rights that Eric Gardner didn't enjoy while he died on the streets in New York. We want them to be protected by the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of this state, and the municipality in which they live. We don't believe this is anti-police. It is for every good police officer that wears his badge or her badge with pride, that risk their lives every day to protect ours, that see their job as a moral obligation, a divine duty, as payment for their stay on this planet. We are proud of our Civilian Complaint Review Board, and we are even more proud of Newark's finest. One doesn't preclude the other. We can have a safe community and officers that live up to the laws they enforce at the same time. This is Newark, and if it can be done anywhere, it can be done here, especially at this moment in time. For years, people have been calling for a Civilian Complaint Review Board, and we shouldn't shy away from it now. There are good officers and good people in the community that are going to come together and set an example for the rest of the country on how to police in the city of Newark constitutionally. For years, I've been saying violence is a public health issue, that it's an epidemic and even infectious. Studies have proven that violence and crime moves is not stationary, and not only can we determine where it is, but we can also predict where it's going to show up. Our efforts, no matter how valiant and smart, have been inconsistent at best, while some towns have become great at pushing it into other towns. I heard Dr. David Kennedy say right here in Newark, at the conference we organized that high crime areas are made consistently high crime areas because we continue to arrest the people in that area, which in turn destabilizes families and creates a cycle of crime. Newark is about 10 years behind best practices that have been happening around the country in places like LA, New Orleans, Boston, the Bronx, and Brooklyn, and now Chicago and Philadelphia. This mayor even found himself on the front page of the Ledger because he sat with, worked with, and tried to help known felons. What I was doing was actually late and marginal even compared to the work that is happening around the country, and in some instances, what was happening already here in Newark. The kind of backward thinking that limits our ability to save lives will keep us in a deep hole. Even when they were trying to make me out to be a thug, Newark had already instituted its violence reduction initiative in the West Ward. They were calling in known felons because that is the point. They were offering them social services, training, helping them to leave a vicious life of crime, jail, and death. They offered them help, and at the same time let them know what the circumstances of their continued behavior would lead to. It is a great idea, but it's not new. Some cities have been using these strategies and others like them for years and have witnessed miraculous reductions in shootings and homicides. In cities like New Orleans, there are areas that have seen at least 200 days without a single shooting. In East New York, they experienced an entire year with no homicides. So under my administration, we have partnered with Provost Todd Clear from Rutgers and put together the Safer Newark Council, a public-private partnership of this kind that does not exist anywhere else in this country. We created an independent board of directors in the state's largest city, supported by a cross-section of law enforcement, the mayor's office, academia, philanthropy, and service providers that will begin not just identifying needs and gaps in public safety, but also begin to look at crime in a holistic way, to begin to develop strategies and ideas that are not just conventional, that will allow Newark to be a city where alternative policing strategies become the norm. So we will never be behind again. We will never fall short of any cutting-edge ideas and strategies. We will fit into the rest of the country and to work and develop these programs here on our streets in Newark. We've already begun. We've already begun pulling departments together, refocusing them, getting them to begin to think in non-traditional ways. One example is our outreach worker program. Our city was stuck in an archaic conservative way of thinking that wanted to spend dollars on suppression but not prevention, on locking people up and not building people up. So we have a country where 2 million people are in jail and half of them look like me, in a circle of deaths that plague our streets that seem to have no end. We don't have the luxury of choosing how we save lives. We don't have the privilege to criticize from an ivory tower like Boston, like New Orleans, like Chicago, like LA, like New York. We are developing, with the help of PSE&G, Victoria Foundation, Rutgers University, our own outreach worker program in Newark that will have a presence in and around the schools where violence germinates. They will be in some of the most difficult communities doing conflict resolution and linking people to social services and out of gangs and violence. They will meet kids that are being released from the youth house to redirect them and provide them with support and structure. They'll be on the ground every day trying to change a culture in our community that has our children running to death and not life. And we are doing this out in the open. We can't hide any longer or be embarrassed about what people think. Our children are dying every day, and we have to stand in the path of a disease that is infecting our children with hopelessness and self-defeat. We have the power to turn this thing around, and we will. We have the power by any means at our disposal, and every resource we have. Our city is going to be better because we are better. We're going to do better because we are better. Like those beautiful kids you saw in here today, they chose life, and we're going to help the rest of the children choose life too. Most of us know here today what our children need. It is the will to give it to them that we are lacking. Most of us know what we have to do for our babies. It is the will to get it done that prevents it from happening. Most of us know how to keep kids out of jail and get them in college. It's our inability to interact with them that's prevented it from happening. Most of us know what kids need to graduate from high school and graduate from college. It's our inability to get together and reuse our resources for our own babies that prevents us from making it happen. Most of us say the children are the future. We just don't think the children of Newark are our future. Today is the day we change that. Today is to say we point to Newark's children as our future. Most of you here today. I've been an educator for over 20 years. And I've seen some incredible kids like Herman along the way. Many of them are undocumented. Some are here at the benefit of DACA. I watch students come here without any ability to speak the language and in 3 years not only learn English, but graduate with honors in a very precarious environment. I watch them after graduation not be able to get loans for school or even find a job. They can't get a driver's license or open up a bank account. It's difficult for them to buy property or participate in local economy. They're often at the whim of local authorities and try to make a living any way that they can. Their parents can't even come to school to participate in their children's growth. And I know all over the country, this is a contentious subject. There were threats to defund homeland security and challenges in court. All of this in a country that is made up of immigrants and ex-slaves. Whether our foremothers came here in search of religious freedom or because of persecution, whether they came here in search of prosperity or as a captive at the bottom of a ship, we are all Americans now. And none of us originated from here. So today here in Newark, we stand with the President of the United States. And while in Texas, they are trying to find ways to keep immigrants out of our country, in Newark, we say, we welcome you. Newark is a free zone. Hopefully, if we work hard enough with our partners and take instruction from New York City, by July 1st, we'll be ready to roll out a municipal ID program that will allow our residents to participate in our city, our local economy. This is Newark 3.0. And I couldn't finish tonight without at least talking to you about our city's incredible technology infrastructure. I'm only going to give you a hint about the direction we are going in. Some of this is so monumental, I can't even discuss it all today. We've already moved to allow you to pay taxes online by credit card and now by check. By the end of the year, you'll be able to do the same with your water bills and other fees. We moved some of our fees for inspections to tablets to make it more efficient and faster, but that's nothing. We launched the Nextdoor app in over 20 neighborhoods around the city that allows residents to talk to each other and have community meetings over the internet. We launched the My Newark app with the help of Rutgers University that allows you access to open data and to report incidences of crime and illegal dumping on the spot. But more importantly, we will soon be able to offer free Wi-Fi in many areas in our city, including businesses, parks, and rec centers. In fact, right now, at St. Peter's Rec Center and Hayes West, there is free Wi-Fi. We will offer groundbreaking workforce development courses available to all residents that will train people for 21st century jobs. We work with our partners to create a technology ecosystem, a place where millennials and businesses will want to live. We will partner with NJIT to make Newark a smart city, network to attract investment and next generation of things to come. This is the future of American cities. And it's not only the future of Newark, but it's the right now for us. We will attract the people, and the people will attract the businesses. Newark 3.0 means we will finally get to hold true that where every American city is going, Newark will get there first. In closing, Shakespeare wrote that there is a tide in the affairs of men, which taken at the flood leads on to fortune. Omitted, and all the voyages of their life is bound in shallows and miseries. On such a full sea are we now afloat, and we must take the current when it serves or lose our ventures. William Butler Yeats, the Irish writer, made it more succinct for us. He said, talent perceives differences, but genius perceives unity. The defining issue of this time is how we bring this city together. Any other issue we can deal with because of who we are, but we cannot do it alone. We can settle for a city that's riddled with politics and fight from our storages of power and watch marginal growth over years and peddle dreams to our residents through stories we don't even believe ourselves. We can watch our schools crumble under the weight of our egos and our neighborhoods suffer from backdoor deals and pace ourselves into the next election. We can continue to fight each other over crumbs that have fallen from the table of the greedy, while our people starve waiting for promised meals that never show up. But we can choose hope over cynicism. We can choose our imagination over our fears. We can get on the road least traveled and take a chance on ourselves just for once. We say believe in Newark, but more importantly, we say believe in yourself. And not just believe in yourself, but believe in the person that works next to you, that lives next to you. We cannot go forward unless we all go forward. That we must hold hands across the finish line. Our destiny lies in our ability to hold each other up, not down, to have each other's back, not hold each other back. I am here to say today that the election is over. And that this administration will work tirelessly with all 9 of our council people, and they will work together. We are working now, today, we are working. We are also working with our county executive and our county government. And we are getting things done, from the redevelopment of Bear Stadium to the new state-of-the-art vocational school. Anyone that is still advancing campaign rhetoric, manipulation, and defeatism as an opportunity stands in the way of Newark 3.0. This is our city. We are all Newark, every last one of us. And now is the time for us to move this city forward. We are Newark. We cannot be content in our bunkers, isolated, being fed a mythology that keeps us trapped in failure. We are Newark. We have to love this city enough to know that its demise is fundamentally tied to our own. We are Newark. We cannot be defined by false demarcations of wards that keep our children from discovering their dreams and our city its rightful future. We are Newark. We have to love what it can become more than we are tied to its present. We are Newark. We have to throw off the yoke of expediency and the obstacle of opportunism. We are Newark. We have to believe in this city vehemently and intently, just as much as you are sure that spring follows winter nights. Know that our time is now, that this day, these moments, this right now, know that this is our miracle, our miracle. Feel it, embrace it. We have to be willing to sacrifice who we are to make room for what we can become. We have to be willing to sacrifice who we are to make room for what we can become. I am asking all of us to take a risk on yourself. Prove the skeptics wrong. And as they try to disparage our name, I want you to remember the story of Nehemiah, who built the wall around the city and recruited people to keep watch over. And as Sanballat tried to distract him with ridicule and rumor, with doubt and confusion, because he, like many today, benefit from failure. They profit from interruption. But like Nehemiah, we will stay the course. We will keep the faith, and we will stand on that wall. And like a phoenix rising out of flames, we will be victorious. Like a phoenix rising out of flames, we will be victorious, because we are Newark. We are Newark. We are Newark. We are Newark. God bless you. God bless the great city of Newark.